Well, hello everybody, hello. Great to be here and a very warm welcome to HSBC's and the Telegraph's Elevator Talk here in Bristol. And today we're looking at how you can become great leaders, because great leadership leads to great business success. And I'm really pleased to be here today. I had a look through the delegation list and I could see that we've got a variety of businesses represented here, all sorts of sectors, which is great to see. And thank you very much for coming along, because today is about you getting some great tips and ideas, even if it's one thing that you get from today that you can implement into your businesses, into your organisations. I think it's well worth the effort you coming along. And this is a part of a series of events that have been taking place up and down the country. And I'm delighted to say that we are here in Bristol, and having worked for a variety of broadcasters and publications over the years, I still have that real appetite to find and seek out great business stories. And Bristol is a fantastic place to be. I've worked here quite a lot over the last few months, and what I have noticed is that more and more people are seeing this area, this region, as a great place for their families to settle, to do business. And in fact, it's such a great hub for entrepreneurs and small businesses that it was recently voted so. The University College London School of Management did some research recently. Did you see this, by the way? And Bristol came out on top. There's some of you nodding there. So you beat London, Glasgow, Manchester, Cardiff. And they explored a variety of factors of why Bristol is such a hip, happening place. And it was the real impact that you have on the direction on growth of your businesses, down to funding, right through to broadband speeds. And as I said, Bristol came out on top, so I'm delighted that we're here today. And today's key theme is about how great leadership can lead to great business success. So we're going to look at what makes a great leader, and we're going to look at how you can inspire rapid and sustained growth by being a great leader, but also consider what are the pitfalls, what mistakes can potentially undermine a business looking to step up to the next level. And if you think about it, if you think about the managers and the leaders that have looked after you over the years, you should know that the right leader can make the difference between success and failure. So whether that's across the entire business or just managing and leading a small team. So having the skill and the ability to inspire, to engage and support colleagues can really make the difference and give you the power to improve performance and also improve results. So among other things, we're going to look at the role of a leader in unlocking the potential of others. Look at the dangers of micromanagement, which I think some of you may be able to relate to, particularly if you're running small businesses and you're so caught up, aren't you, with the day-to-day running of a business. I know I run a small business, and sometimes stepping back is quite hard when you need to get your hands and fingers on everything. But how can you actually step back and actually avoid micromanagement? And also we're going to discuss how your own mind and understanding it can help you become a great leader as well. So better leaders make better businesses. And today we're going to share two strong examples of this in action. We've got two great presentations, one from Chimp Management and the other from Wahaca. Both speakers will share their stories with you whilst providing you with some great practical tips to take away and some advice as well, so you can put in place to your workplaces when you go back there later on this afternoon or tomorrow or in the coming days and weeks. And how it's going to work, after each presentation, I'm going to ask a couple of questions before opening up to the floor. So start thinking up your questions, your thoughts, your comments throughout. And as well as asking live questions, we're encouraging you to tweet throughout as well. And we've got a hashtag especially for these series of events. It's Elevate My Business, and also the handle to use is HSBC UK Business. There you go, the details are up there, so take a note. So if you're a Twitter fan, start tweeting, or maybe you want to start tweeting for the first time. So that's the all-important details that you need to make a note of. So let's get the programme underway with Nigel Davis. And Nigel is the HSBC's Regional Director for Western and Wales. And he would like to welcome you personally to this event. As also, he's going to give us an update on the elevator pitch competition. Now, who's familiar with this? Who's been following it, reading about it? Yep, there's a few of you that have done. And the exciting thing is that this is now reaching fever pitch, because there was a recent announcement of who's made it to the 10 finalists, and Nigel's going to tell us more about that in a moment. I had a chat with Nigel earlier, and quite interestingly, he's been running the Canadian business up until quite recently for 2 years for HSBC, and then has come in to this region. It's a fantastic area to cover, you know, Bristol, that whole southwest and Wales. And I think that international experience that Nigel brings to the party is really important, particularly for this area, because there was another survey last year that showed that Bath, Somerset, Bristol and this whole region were the best exporters in the country. There's something about that international outlook that the rest of the country could learn a lot from you. So I know Nigel is bringing that experience into the region as well. So without any further ado, please give a very warm welcome to Nigel Davies. Nigel, good morning to you. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Nadine. And good morning, everyone. And I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you all to Bristol, the heart of the region. And actually, I live just over the way there, so it's not much of a walk out for me this morning. I also want to mention, welcome Mark, Selby and Glenn. We'll be hearing a little bit more about them momentarily. So, what's these talks? These talks have been running, they're running through to the end of April. This is the 5th in the series of the HSBC Elevator campaign, which I can notice not everybody's familiar with, but hopefully you will be by the end of today. And these are run in conjunction between HSBC and the Telegraph. Previous sessions have been on strategy and ambition, talent, marketing, and office technology. And these are all available for you to view on the Telegraph website, on HSBC's website, and this one will also be available after today, and who knows, you may even see yourself on the camera, so if you're not supposed to be here or you're with someone you shouldn't be, I'll leave that to your discretion. So these talks have been designed to give you unprecedented access to speakers, influential speakers who have actually done this, and they're providing help for you to take your business to the next level. The elevator program, within that, the most important part for some of your entrepreneurs is the elevator pitch competition, where finalists will be groomed. You'll be bidding for £150,000 prize money, and we had over 1,000 entries to the competition. It's now closed, I'm afraid, so you can't actually apply now, but there's over 1,000 entries in there. By putting a 90-second pitch up on YouTube on our website, and we've got a panel of judges who are working their way through that. It's a bit like The Apprentice for grown-ups, if you like, but there is £150,000 prize money to bring that idea to life, to take your business to the next level. Yep, and yesterday, as Nadine said, we have announced the finalists now. So the 10 finalists were published in the paper yesterday. There was no shortage of passionate business owners who wanted to come forward and take this money off us. The businesses are from a range of backgrounds, a range of sectors and locations, from goat's milk ice cream to palm leaf plates, and children's clothing to medical leg splints. So our finalists now not only represent diversity and passion for small business, but also shows their great leadership and determination to succeed. For me, I've been in the bank over 30 years, and a number of businesses I've worked with and have the privilege to work with. It's usually about entrepreneurial spirit, but it's definitely about leadership. And that's what we hope you're going to take away from today. So I'll just close my slot now, because I know you want to hear from our speakers, not from me. But I will say that we have a number of relationship managers from HSBC in the room. I've got £1 billion to lend in my region, and they're keen to get this out to economically viable businesses. So if you need to relieve them of that load, please go and talk to them later. I don't know how much they brought with them, but I'm sure you'll find out. And for us, HSBC, we're into long-term relationships. It's not just about business. It's far more important than that, and it's not just about the numbers. So we really are finding ways. We really want to add value to your business in whatever way we can, because we know if you're successful, that the economy will be successful. So that's all from me. I'm going to hand back to Nadine now and leave you to take from this day. And I would urge you, nay, implore you, to take away some of the hints and tips from today and put them into practice later today or tomorrow, and you'll get the most out of it. So that's all from me. Back to you, Nadine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nigel. Yes, so 10 of the most exciting, ambitious and high-growth companies, they've been announced yesterday. You can still see details on that on the Telegraph website and also HSBC's website as well. And that investment prize of 150,000, that's very welcome. But what I really liked about this competition is that each 10 finalists get some priceless mentoring as well during the competition's final stages, which I think is a fantastic prize to have. So good luck to all 10. Maybe there might be someone in the room that's part of the 10 finalists. Who knows? They're keeping quiet at the moment. So anyway, so we'll be watching that with bated breath. Well, now it's time for our first presentation, and it's going to be delivered by Glenn Mead, who runs Chimp Management's corporate programs. What a great name, Chimp Management. And they specialise in helping people discover how the individual mind is structured and how it works, so we can use the mind to its full advantage and capability. And without giving too much details away now, because I know Glenn's going to go into this in more detail, I know this approach is based around the principles of neuroscience, so much so that it's been cited by Sir Chris Hoy, MBE, no less, as the secret to his performance. And just to remind us, if you don't know who Chris is, he's Great Britain's most successful Olympic athlete of all time, with 6 gold medals and 1 silver medal. So I think we could all have some of that, couldn't we? So to explain further, please give a very warm welcome to Glenn Mead. Hi, Glenn. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you to the Daily Telegraph and to HSBC for inviting us down here to speak today. Can I see a quick show of hands? Has anyone heard of this company called Chimp Management Limited? Okay, it's more than normal. So the majority of you have never heard of us. Well, we're a startup business. We've been going for just about 3 years now. We're a small consultancy, performance psychology specialist. We help people get the best out of themselves and out of each other by understanding the way the mind works, in particular emotional thinking and rational thinking. We're 27 client-facing consultants. We're based in Sheffield, but we work across the UK and across the globe, actually, working in elite sport, business, education, and healthcare. Has anyone got the book, The Chimp Paradox? Anyone claim to have read it from cover to cover? I just need to know if there's any experts in the room. In case I dry up halfway through, I can choose you. So our company was put together in January 2013 as a result of the success of this book, The Chimp Paradox, written by the chief executive of the company, Professor Steve Peters, who's a consultant, clinical and forensic psychiatrist. So he's a doctor by training. He's also the undergraduate dean at Sheffield Medical School, where he still teaches and trains students in their first 5 years of medical training about the basic understanding of the brain, basic neuroanatomy and neuroscience of the brain. And this is where this chimp model comes from. As a result of the chimp model, the medical student said, well, please, can you put this into a book? Because not only do we find this model very, very useful for understanding the way the brain works, but it's actually helping us to understand what life is all about. So if you can see the strap line at the bottom of the book there, where it says the Mind Management Program for Confidence, Success and Happiness. It's all about understanding, how do I get a grip on reality? How do I put things in perspective, the things that I might find challenging or stressful or a pressure on me? How do I get the best out of myself and understand what can I do about it next time it happens? And it's about reflective practice and learning again and again and again how to get the best out of yourself, not let the emotions take over. So you can imagine the pressure that medical students are under. It's no different to you. It's no different to Chris Hoy, Vicky Pendleton, Bradley Wiggins, all these other high-achieving individuals that Steve Peters and the company has worked with. Now, I know these things, confidence, success, and happiness, are important for you as well in running businesses. All the metrics you use to measure how well you're doing, be it profit and loss, supply chain, EBITDA, number of clients in the pipeline. I know that happiness will be somewhere on your dashboard of metrics. On the very right-hand side, you've got a measure there that says happiness. And when things drop below a certain level, you stop everything and say, stop what you're doing because the staff aren't happy. Everyone needs a hug. You're telling me it doesn't happen? But you always hear large organizations, small organizations say our people are our best assets. So consider, how does happiness affect your ability to get the best out of yourself? How does your happiness affect how you interact with other people? How does happiness in your team affect the way they manage the pressures of working in business conditions today? And I'll argue that you can't separate work and life and work, but happiness and the emotions will carry over. And if you're in a good frame of mind, you're going to be in a better place for managing yourself. So Steve Peters started working with Olympic Team GB cycling in 2001, and 2004 Athens Olympics is when Chris Hoy was part of that team that were the best, most successful ever Olympic team. We still work with Team Sky, We work also with triathlon, taekwondo. We've worked with canoeing, whitewater, flat water, swimming, Paralympic swimming, archery, wheelchair rugby. We also work with bobsleigh. We're now organised into these 5 areas, and I run the bit that's to do with business, but our shop window still seems to be elite sport. So Steve Peters works with Ronnie O'Sullivan. If you hear Ronnie O'Sullivan in the press, he's very public about talking about his inner chimp and about the way he manages himself and how Steve Peters has helped him work with that. We also work with Liverpool Football Club, so we've got a relationship there for about the last 6 years. What we believe is that successful organisations, successful people come about from people being proactive. It's about taking responsibility, taking action in advance of things going wrong or going the way you want them to, by having a plan and making sure that the plan you have is based on reality, it's based on your accurate perception of what life is all about, having values that are important to you and living by those values and making decisions based on your values, but accepting that some people will not have the same values as you. And above all, keeping everything in perspective. So when things don't go the way you want them to, it's not the end of the world. When you have a success, it's not fantastic, you're the greatest winner and best business ever, but keeping it in perspective. And about being proactive and planning proactively is also about understanding the way you think, feel and behave, and where your staff think, feel and behave, and how you can anticipate when pressure and challenge is going to end up possibly with an emotional outcome you don't want. When you get emotions that get in the way of you being the best person you want to be. So we say part of that is understanding the way your brain works. And we like to work with our clients and say, imagine that your brain is a machine. Imagine that inside your head you'll have this machine. And it's working together as a system and it's producing an outcome. So when something's gone wrong with a machine, a component part isn't working, you have a malfunction. Imagine this machine is a car. Something goes wrong, you have a loss of power, a flat tire, a light comes up on the dashboard and says there's something wrong. That's a malfunction. You get a mechanic to come and repair it for you. Brain malfunction would be brain trauma through a head injury or lesions to the brain caused by surgery, or brain disease. So things like dementia, Alzheimer's, epilepsy, things which suggest a part of the brain isn't working properly. We don't work with malfunction. We work with dysfunction, where you say the machine's working perfectly well, thank you, but it's the driver behind the wheel who's making a few errors, misjudging things, responding inappropriately, and having an emotional reaction and not getting the best out of themselves. So in the case of these two machines, maybe the green car in front, brakes, lights, indicators, everything's working perfectly fine, but the driver didn't look in the mirror before putting on the brakes or turning or stopping. And as a result, the collision has happened. Maybe the car behind, lights, brakes, indicators, everything's working fine, but the driver wasn't looking ahead, was going too close to the car in front, was on a mobile phone, drinking coffee, looking out the window. And as a result, there's been an error. Something's happened, a dysfunctional, an outcome that you weren't happy with. So we're going to be talking about dysfunction for the next 25 minutes. Now, if anyone's sitting here thinking, I've come to learn about how to be a good leader, I am not dysfunctional, well, we've got a little exercise for you right now. I'm going to give you a minute to talk to someone to your left or your right, just 1 minute, to talk about something that recently happened that you now wish had been different, something that gave rise to emotions. You got angry, you got sad, you felt disgusted and ashamed by something, and now you look back in the cool light today and go, oh dear, maybe I could have handled that better. Just 1 minute, bit of an icebreaker to get you going. Okay, time up. Time up. That's just 1 minute. That was 1 minute just to get you talking about maybe a recent example of something you've done that indicates to you you're not as functional as you like to think you are. And I'm sorry if I've cut you off in mid-flow and you're just getting off your chest. You're just warming up. But how many of you do this every day? How many times a day do you get frustrated at work and you just hold the emotions down, and later on you let it out? Usually you go home and your partner says, how was your day at work? Let me tell you how my day was. Or you don't do something like that. You just displace it elsewhere. Now, judging by the volume in the room, I take it you all found something to talk about. Let me have a guess. Let what most audiences say. Shouting at your partner. Or snapping at your partner. Shouting at the children. Shouting at someone else's children. Usually feels better that way. Getting road rage. Getting parking rage. Worrying about giving a presentation to a potential client or an investor for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, then giving the presentation, and it was really nothing to worry about at all. And you wonder why you beat yourself up so long. Worrying about what everyone else in your business is doing right now while you're enjoying yourself here. And you can't stop looking at your phone and going, oh, is that for me? Is it an email? I really need to be paying attention, but I'm distracted. So we have, I think it's all fair to say, we have occasions where we're not as functional as we like to be. Put your hands up, please, if you claim not to be dysfunctional. Okay. If you manage to hold your arm down and say, no, I'm definitely perfect. When you get home tonight, you meet your partner, say, am I functional? And you'll get an answer. It might not be the one you want. So what is it that makes a situation a pressure or a challenge, or gives rise to emotions we don't want? Fear, anger, disgust, sadness, shame. What is it? What makes some people on this side react to something as a pressure in an emotional way, and over here you think, well, I don't react to that. What is it that makes us different as human beings? And it's all down to, what do you think is going to happen? What are you expecting about the situations you encounter? What are the consequences? How is it going to turn out? And also, what has happened to get you in this situation right now? And ultimately, is there anything you can do about it? What is in your control right now? Can you do anything about it at all? So we talk about reflective practice, about being proactive, planning, thinking about what's happened, looking at it in reality, what is in your control, what's not, how much is probability and how much is guaranteed, and what can I do differently next time? Complete learning cycle all the time, saying, what have we learned, what have we learned? We're getting better and better. Even from the bad times, we're going to learn from that and be better next time. So reflective practice. Is it fair to say then that the more time you spend in advance, proactively thinking about what might happen, that when a situation does happen, you're going to be in control of your reaction? Is that fair to say? Yeah? Great, because that's the first mistake to make. That we have this assumption of ourselves and other people that you're in control of what's going on inside your head. Provided there's no malfunction, everything's working fine, you're responsible for it. The way you think, feel, and behave, and you're in control. So how do you explain those moments when you get emotions you don't like? You expected something, it hasn't gone the way you wanted to, you shout at someone, you get emotion, you withdraw, you distance yourself, and then you have the emotions that say, this is not pleasant. If you believe you're in control, damaging emotions lead to destructive self-beliefs, which can ultimately reduce your quality of life. You become less confident, less successful, less happy. Because you think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I manage myself? Then you apply the same principle to other people. They're in control of what's going on inside their mind, the way they think, feel, and behave. So when someone's aggressive towards you, or avoidant, not even looking at you, or in a bag of nerves, and you think, just pull yourself together. Surely you can make sense of this situation. What's wrong with you? We're applying the same principle, that they're in control of what's going on inside their head. And I'm going to show you a neuroscientific reason why that's erroneous thinking. But just in case there's someone in the room still thinking, no, I'm not dysfunctional and I am in control of what's going on inside my head, let's present you with a challenge that most of us at some stage will have encountered during our life. And that's eating healthily. So you say, okay, I know it's important to look after myself and what I eat and drink, and donuts are lovely, they're fantastic, but they're not exactly nutritious. So I'm going to cut down. I'm not going to give up, because I'll be madness. I'm going to use my willpower and my motivation to stick to one donut a day. It might be a New Year's resolution you're committing to. And you say,